Are we live?
President Cavello, we are live. We're just moving a couple more people here.
Okay. We will call this meeting August 21st, 2026, the Wyoming Gaming Commission to order. We'll wait just a moment for Director Laramendi to get back. And the roll call, please, Nick, if you would, and welcome.
President Cavello, give me 1 second here so I can get it open. All right. Sorry. President Cavello.
Present.
Commissioner Torgerson is absent. Commissioner Bowl. Commissioner Schiffer.
Here.
Commissioner Sinclair. He is online, still muted, but I saw him say here. Vice President Rithaler.
Here.
Commissioner Cura.
Here.
Commissioner Felton is absent. Commissioner Wildcat. I know she's online as well. Senator Kolb is absent. Representative Davis. Governor's liaison, Mr. Lubnaw. He is here.
Yes.
President Cavello, you do have a quorum.
Fantastic. If you would do the welcome, please, Nick, we would appreciate it.
Certainly. Welcome to the August 21st, 2026 special meeting of the Wyoming Gaming Commission. The primary mission of the Wyoming Gaming Commission is the protection of the wagering public and the health, safety, and welfare of the participants in all lawful gaming and parimutuel activities. Individuals who wish to address the commission will be recognized and called on by the president to speak. After the president has recognized you, please clearly state your name and the name of the organization you represent prior to addressing the commission. All comments, questions, and responses must flow through the president by addressing the president each time you wish to speak. This procedure ensures an orderly flow of discussion during the commission meeting. All meetings of the governing body of an agency are public meetings open to the public except as otherwise provided pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-403A. This meeting is being held live in person at 444 West Collins in Casper in the Roundhouse Room on the 3rd floor, available for public participation via Zoom, and also available to watch via the Wyoming Gaming Commission's YouTube channel. The commission may open an executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-405A. Inclusion on the agenda does not necessarily constitute a commission action.
Thank you very much. If you'd all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. We'll move right into item number 2, the agenda. And for all of you that hear, there's a lot going on today and this weekend and stuff like that. So we are going to power through this agenda and take minimal breaks and minimal lunch, if at all, and try to get this thing done by 1 or 2. So just a heads up. Okay. You all have the agenda in front of you. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Have a motion by Commissioner Bowl.
I'll second that.
A second by Vice President Rithaler. Any discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Right on to approval of the consent list. As presented, item number 4, A through B, minutes of the meetings of May 15th and 21st. Under B, item number 5, C, financial and wagering activity reports. Under C, item number 10, C through D, OSW vendor renewals. And item D, number 11, B through L, historic horse racing requests. Those are on the consent list. If anybody has anything they'd like to see removed, it'll be done immediately. Anything anyone would like to see removed? I see no hands and nothing from the room. I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent list.
Commissioner Schiffer so moves.
I have a motion by Commissioner Schiffer. Do I hear a second? I have a second by Commissioner Bowl. Any discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll go past number 4. It's on the consent list. We'll go right into general discussion. President and Vice President reports. I don't have anything for today.
I have
Vice
nothing.
President Ritholler.
I have nothing, Mr. President.
Okay, very good. Executive Director.
President Cavello, thank you. I'll try to be brief. I have a few things just to highlight. The new licensing database, we have started the implementation process for that. I've signed all the contracts and we got that going. Actually had 2 of the developers in our office for 2 straight days last week. We're moving ahead with that. That's going to replace our antiquated licensing database as well as our Wyoming bred database. It's going to be all inclusive for one. I know we had talked about that before. This is going to give us some nice features moving forward for security in secure areas and allowing us to scan people in and out of locations. I'm really looking forward to it. We're working diligently through that. They're shooting for a early January, probably the first week in January, to get that to go live for everybody. The other thing briefly that I'll just touch on, and I know that I've made all the commissioners aware of this, is the fingerprinting issues that we've been having at the racetrack. So far to date, we've had 600 sets of fingerprints rejected. That's 1,200 individual fingerprint cards. A lot of that is because we are still using the classic ink rolled prints, like you see in Dragnet. That's kind of a thing of the past. Live scan machines are the way to go. Currently, we don't have live scan capabilities at the racetrack. I am working diligently on getting a live scan machine in our office so we can continue to do them in our office. And I am looking at possibly getting one for the racetrack. Again, with the racetrack, this is very difficult. We have one licensing clerk that works the racetrack, and she has to process all of these on her own. Opening weekend, they had 2 people there, and I think they processed just under 1,000 applicants. What we are really going to be moving towards, especially with the new licensing program, is encouraging all license holders to license ahead of time. Please do not wait till you get to the track the day you're going to run a horse to get a license. It makes things very, very difficult. And the last thing that I just touch on, and again, I had sent this to the commissioners. This is just for you all to consider, is the licensing fee structure. Currently, an annual parimutuel licenses are issued at either $15 to $35, depending on the license type. However, the background alone for those licenses costs the commission $40. So at a minimum, we're losing $25 per license, or $15, or I guess $5 if it's $5 if it's a type 2 license. As a result, the commission absorbs either the $4 loss or the $24 loss just to cover the background check. That doesn't cover any other costs. That is strictly the background. There's the badge printers that we use, the physical badges, there's ink for those badges. There's now the new software program that, mind you, we pay roughly $10,000 a year for our current database. This is going to be 10 times that. At least, I mean, we're going to be paying roughly $100,000 a year for this new database. So that's something for you all to maybe consider is looking at our licensing costs. That's something that maybe we could look at in November, because I think it would be best to have that as a January 1 start date for the new year. Just something for you all to consider. And then the very, actually, I think that, oh no, there is one other thing that I have. It's complaints. I have received several complaints regarding the commission's enforcement of Wyoming statute, commission rules, and licensing standards within our gaming industry. In the interest of transparency, as the director of the commission, I want to reaffirm our agency's commitment to administering and enforcing all applicable laws and regulations in a fair, consistent, and impartial manner. I recognize that there are members of the public, members of the gaming and parimutuel industry that may have differing opinions regarding existing statutes, administrative rules, or regulatory requirements. I encourage anybody who wishes to see changes to Wyoming's gaming laws or commission rules to become actively involved in the public process. Attend the commission meetings, participate in rulemaking processes, and engage with members of the Wyoming legislature. These are the appropriate avenues for proposing and discussing changes to Wyoming gaming's regulatory framework. Constructive participation from the industry stakeholders, licensees, and the public is a critical part of maintaining a strong, fair, and efficient regulatory system. With that, Mr. President, I'm done.
Thank you, Nick. We'll move past item 5C right to 5D, request for consideration of alternate market fee structure.
President Cavello, in your packet, you will see on page, you can bring him over. Thank you. We actually have somebody here to speak to this. This would be who is requesting this. Trying to get to the right page number, though. I believe it's on page 42 of your packet. And then I will turn this over, Mr. President, to Mr. Fing to discuss what they're proposing.
Good morning, actually. Good morning, esteemed commissioners, Wyoming Gaming Commission, Mr. Laramendi. My name is Matthew Feig. I head up regulatory efforts for Gameplay Network, which is one of your licensed ADWs operating in Wyoming for quite a bit of time. And we did submit a request for approval to amend the source market fee structure, which in your statutes you do have the right to do in the best interest of Wyoming residents and racing as a whole. The reason why we propose this is our ADW model is a little bit different than traditional ADW. We run what I would call B pools or private pools, which is known in the industry. So we run at a different takeout than industry standard. So we have lower gross gaming revenue, but our games offer a better chance of higher churn. So currently in Wyoming, we have been operating at roughly a run rate of about 2.6 million in handle for the year of 2026. And given that model and given the request for the alternative source market fee structure, we believe that will allow us to invest in marketing efforts and return to player, which will drive conservatively a 7 to 10x increase in handle. So where you'll see a little bit lower as instead of a percentage of handle, you'll see a higher rate of source market fees over the next 1 to 3 years in churn. And as we grow, you grow. It's something that we have done in several other states and with incredible success. Oregon being the primary place, the first place that have done that, and significant increase in handle year over year. So with that, I'll stop for a second and if there's any questions from the commission or the commissioners.
Yes, good morning. Mr. Fing, what is the current rate and how does it differ from what you're proposing?
Absolutely. So traditional ADW, and Mr. Laramendi, I think you have to correct me on this one. I want to say it's 5% off the top of my head. I apologize, everybody. I was supposed to be there in person, but United Airlines left me stranded, so I apologize for that. I would love to have been there. But traditional ADW generally works on a straight percentage of handle, and I believe in your state it is 5%, if I'm correct. What we are asking for is something that's more along the lines of sports and iGaming, which is a percentage of net revenue. And the net revenue model we're asking for is 10%, which I believe is pretty standard when you look at other states is concerned. So we're looking to pivot from a traditional ADW percentage of handle to a net gaming revenue model. And the schedule we propose is, pretty standard. It's, it's takeout less any applicable fees and marketing fees. This allows us just to invest more.
So what could those other fees be from the gross to the net? What all fees are involved?
Generally speaking, your biggest fees are host track fees and those kind of things. When you're talking about an ADW, generally host track fees are your biggest elephant in the room. So there's a significant cost to acquire content. So with that being said, that's probably your biggest fee. And in keeping in mind, we don't have the luxury of 18% to up to 30% takeout on our pools. Our pools have to be running at a lot lower rate, so we can have a higher return to player, and the higher return to player promotes a lot more churn. So our players tend to win more because the takeout's lower, and because the takeout's lower, they will play more games. Is really what it comes down to, or more races in this case.
Any questions from anyone else? Ms.
Uh,
Laycock.
Thank you. Tracy Laycock. I represent Wyoming Downs and 307 Horse Racing. We do have an ADW license under IDABET, and we concur and agree with this change. I think it would be positive for the industry and allow all the benefits that Mr. Feig is talking about. It is a change that is occurring in many other states, and we think it would be positive for the ADW industry.
Thank you. Any questions or any comments from anyone? So basically, Mr. Director Laramendi, this would need to come as a rule change at our November meeting?
President Cavello, that is correct. If that's what you would like me to do, I can start preparing that for the November meeting.
Well, something maybe we can consider. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about it. Okay, let's move forward with rulemaking.
President Cavello, do you want to do that as a formal motion, or do you just want me to get started on it?
Let's get started.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, commissioners, executive director, and the entire Wyoming Downs community. When I hear IDABET, it brings a little tear to my heart. IDABET, I actually operated on behalf of eBet Technologies roughly about 14 years ago. So it's great to see that IDABET is still in existence and operating well.
Okay, commissioners, we'll get ourselves more familiar with this and see if we have any more questions and so forth before we begin official rulemaking in November. Okay. Very good. Moving right along to item E, Wyoming Gaming Commission Policy, Approval of Historic Racing Software and Game Themes.
President Cavello, thank you. So the next three, just a little backstory on these. What the purpose of these is to implement a written policy that you all have reviewed and then approved that allows the staff the authority to do certain day-to-day operations to alleviate, I guess, in this instance, historic horse racing software updates. We have specific standards that we look at, and if they check off, we put them in front of the commission, most likely as a consent list now, and then that goes through a consent list, and then that approval happens. But a lot of these approvals that we just did on the consent list this time, we've actually had in our office for almost 3 months. With the way that our meetings go now quarterly, these kind of just stack up over that 3 months. And the purpose of this policy is to streamline that, make it much quicker for the software to be approved so long as it meets all the state statutes and Wyoming's regulatory or rules on HHR. So that is the purpose of this policy. I don't believe that I need to read it in its entirety. It is included all in your packets. I know you all have it. It was also included in the public packet. I would stand for any questions on this, if there are any questions. And I would take any questions as well. I think I just said that.
Commissioners, do any of you have any questions with regards to this or any comments? Basically, we get these requests. They've been vetted by the staff. To this point, as long as I've been on the commission, we've always approved them because they're over our head.
President Cavello, if I may, on the referral to the commission section, section 4, you're actually going to find in today's agenda, on the consent list, we did items 11B through L. Item A was left off. That was left off intentionally because that is something that you all need to look at and determine if that's the route you want to go. We have had a few denials based on the kind of theme layout, how they looked. So in that instance, you know, if we get these and it's questionable, or we see something that we've seen in the past that you all haven't decided to take this direction yet, that would still come before you all. That would not be approved at a staff level. Anything that we question in our office would still come before you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice President Ritholler.
so what is the difference between a policy and a rule? Does,
President Cavello, Vice President Ritholler. So the policy is just how we operate. A rule. So the Wyoming Gaming Commission rules are really designed for the licensees to follow. The rule book isn't really, we enforce the rule book, but the rules don't really have how we operate internally. One thing that I've noticed recently is that there's a lot of things that we could put into a policy that streamline a lot of this. We don't really have a full written gaming commission policy. We operate actually under A&I's policies as far as personnel and stuff goes. But specifically to gaming, we can start doing this when we see things that can be streamlined.
Mr. President, thank you for that. I'm kind of at a real disadvantage to know anything about the machines. I'm not allowed to gamble. I signed a piece of paper to the state of Wyoming, so I don't know how they work. So I have to leave it up to the staff to find out if they're the right. And so I would make a motion to approve policy number 038-2026-01. Am I saying that correct?
Exactly.
I'd make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Vice President Ritholler. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Commissioner Kura. Is there any discussion? Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. 5F.
President Cavello, the next one is policy number 038-2026-02. This is the exact same policy, but just for skill-based amusement game software. Again, the same kind of things apply. We get the lab reports, we review the lab reports, we check statutes and rules. If everything checks off, this gives the staff the authority to just approve that without waiting the 3 months. Again, same referral to you all applies. If something comes up that's questionable or that we're not comfortable with, that we would just put that on an agenda. I back up one more for both of these. At every meeting, I would just present you all with a list of all the software that had been approved for that period of time as well, just so you always are in the know. And I would stand for any questions on this one as well.
Mr. President.
Yes, Commissioner Kura.
Nick, have we had any major complaints from any of the vendors or developers on these for taking that long?
President Cavello, Commissioner Curtis. No, we haven't received any complaints. They've all been pretty good to work with and they understand the process. I will say that there's a lot of, our jurisdiction is a dual approval jurisdiction to where they go out to the lab approves it, and then it comes before the commission and the commission approves it. But a lot of jurisdictions have moved to a single approval system to where once it goes through the lab, if the lab approves it, then it's fine for their market. Now, I have real apprehensions about that currently because we don't have real good technical standards into our rules for HHR or skill games. If we ever got to the point to where we had real specific technical standards, excuse me, that we could provide to the lab that they would test against, then that could be a direction that we go. Again, part of this is just to streamline it. It's to alleviate some of the daily minutia from you all during our meetings, so you all could focus more on policy decisions, disciplinary matters, things that are really important to the commission.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I would entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Commissioner Schiffer moves to accept the policy to allow the executive director to approve SBAG software, et cetera. Thank you.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve policy 038-2006-02. Is there any discussion? Discussion. Don't see anything online, anything from the public. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving right along to 5G.
President Covello, 5G is policy number 038-2026-03, and it's the review and approval of online sports wagering license renewal applications. I want to make sure that it's very clear that this is strictly just renewals. This is not any new vendor or any new operator that comes into the market on any of these. So any new vendor for skill games still has to come before you all. Any new vendor or operator for online sports wagering still has to come before you all. Any new parimutuel operator has to come before you all. A new vendor for parimutuel activity would have to come before you all. This is just the renewal applications. You'll remember, I think it was last month, we had to call a special meeting to do a bunch of online sports wagering renewals because we have a statutory mandate that we have to approve those within 90 days. The renewal one, it's important to remember that they renew every 5 years. So when we look at renewal applications, they have all been operating in good standing in the state of Wyoming for 5 years. Again, the same kind of referral to you all applies. If we had a vendor that had submitted a renewal application, but we had adverse findings from the 5 years in Wyoming or in other areas, the staff would not approve that. It would refer it to you all to consider that approval or that renewal. If there's adverse findings, this would just be if it's a clean renewal, they've operated for 5 years, there's been no disciplinary actions, we have no concerns about how they're doing it, and they're operating the same way that they did under the last approval, we can just run those through after we do the review and approve those. Again, I would stand for any questions on that. I just want to make sure that it's very clear that this is not for new vendors or new operators. Those have to come before you all.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Anybody interested in taking action on this?
Move to approve.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bolt. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Commissioner Felton. Is there any discussion? Discussion amongst commissioners? Discussion amongst the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move right on to item number 6A.
President Covello, item number 6A is a new skill-based amusement game vendor, Estelle Entertainment. In your packet, starting on page 56, you will see the confidential report. The application was received on July 7th, 2026 from Mark, is it Phelan, seeking licensure as a skill-based amusement game vendor, Excel Entertainment Gaming Wyoming LLC. It is a Wyoming registered LLC. The packet contained the completed application, a $2,500 application fee, fingerprints and background questionnaires for all of the listed responsible parties and all their required plans. The lab reports for the games that they intend to use are on file with the commission. Upon receipt of the application, I worked with former Miss Haynes, who left us in reviewing this application. We re-reviewed the lab reports and all of their plans. We also have received the results of the background checks And we have not seen any statutory disqualifiers. Accel Entertainment is actually a very large company. They have gaming operations throughout the country. They're in good standing in all the jurisdictions that they operate in. And the staff would recommend approval of their application to become a skill-based amusement game vendor.
Any questions from the commissioners with regards to the quest for the new vendor?
President Cavillo, sorry, if I may also, we also have a representative from that company here, if you have any questions directly for them.
Please come on up.
Mr. President, Jim Pelham from Accel Entertainment. Happy to take any questions, but before questions, I just wanted to go on the record of how helpful the executive director and his staff were in helping us prepare the application. Everything's a little bit different between jurisdictions. We even ran into an issue with some of our folks' fingerprint cards being rejected, and very helpful to get that resubmitted. So just wanted to go on record how appreciative we were of Nick and his staff with this process.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? How about, do we want to take some action here? Would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Felton. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Kura. Is there any discussion? Discussion from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Larramendi. We'll move on to 6B. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
President Cavillo, item 6B is also an additional new vendor, Bison Skill Gaming. It's a Wyoming registered LLC as well. They intend to use previously approved vanilla games. We received their application on April 28th. I want to caveat this because if you look, it's April 28th and now we're 4 months down the road. We have a 60-day window for these ones. However, the first submission that we received was incomplete. We had worked with this vendor back and forth to get some additional documents, which was a lot of their operational plans that are required. But we do have a completed packet now. The $2,500 application fee or license fee has been paid. Fingerprints and background questionnaires have been completed with no disqualifiers found. Again, staff would recommend approval of Bison Skill Gaming as a skill-based amusement game vendor.
Commissioners. Hear a motion to approve?
Commissioner Schiffer so moves.
We have a motion from Commissioner Schiffer to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Felton. Any discussion? Discussion from the public? No hands raised? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving right along to item number 7.
President Cavillo, item 7A, 307 Horse Racing LLC's 2026 live race report. We're moving Mr. Ridgway over right now. He'll be on the screen and he will give a verbal report on this. I think he also has a little PowerPoint to show you.
Give me just a minute, Nick. I was not fully prepared here. Let me get my PowerPoint pulled up.
We're moving right along today, Kyle.
No, I appreciate it, Cactus, Mr. President. Thank you. I did just put in a request to share my screen so I can display the presentation I have.
All right, you have it, Mr. Ridgway.
Okay. Oh, hold on. I'm displaying the wrong screen.
That's your race week summary.
Yeah. Hang on. Okay, can you see this okay, Mr. President?
Certainly. Looks good.
Okay. 307 horse racing, 2026 race meet summary. As you all know, we were permitted to run a split meet this year as a trial. We ran 2 weekends at Energy Downs at the Camplex up in Gillette, and then we ran the last 4 weekends in Evanston. During the course of the 307 horse racing race meet, we had over 13,500 different attendees over the 6 weekends. We paid over $3.3 million in purses this year during the 307 meet. We ran 18 unique race dates, which is 2 more than the statute requires. We had a little over 2.7 million in contributions, and we ran 180 total individual races. At the Camplex this year for the 2 weekends in Gillette, we averaged about 300 attendees per race day, or 1,500 total attendees over the 2 weekends. And we had 45 employees during the time that we ran up in Gillette. When we went to Evanston, attendance increased by 4 to 5 times. What you'll see is when we had 1,500 total attendees for the 2 weekends in Gillette, when we ran in Evanston, we had like 1,500 per day. We had 6,200 attendees the first 2 weekends in Evanston, 12,000 attendees during the 4 weeks we were in Evanston, and we have 126 employees during that race meet. So as you guys can imagine, 1,500 people coming to watch a race, 126 employees, all the horses, all the trainers. It's a completely different atmosphere in Evanston than it is in Gillette. We had 121 quarter horse races and 59 thoroughbred races this year. Just to show you the purse growth in 2026, we had 2.7 million in purse contributions, and we paid over 3.3. Last year was 2.4 and 3 million respectively. The tourism benefits. So we had a Brewfest event during the 307 race meet that was really well attended. That was also the same day that we hosted all our legislators. The visitor spending and the attendees, it supports hotels, RV parks, restaurants, and local businesses in both Gillette and Evanston. In Evanston, particularly, the Brewfest supported a lot of Wyoming craft brewers. They actually ran out of beer. It was so well attended, which was really cool to see. I think when I was out there that weekend, by the time I got down there, they didn't have much for us to get. Economic impact and community engagement. One of the other things that we did during the 307 portion of the meet is we had a raffle for the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, which was really well supported. And so those are just some of the things we do that supports agriculture, breeders, owners, trainers in the industry generally. We support the Wyoming Horsemen, as you know. I have a quick video just to kind of show you from our social media. This was taken during the 307 race meet in Evanston, but it kind of gives you a feel for what the environment's like there. That was at the end there, one of the jockeys. It was the first time they'd won a race, so they got the traditional water shower instead of a Gatorade bucket, but still pretty cool. That's the presentation on the 307 race meet. I think in summary, what we learned during this trial period is the success in terms of the additional economic impact of having that meet down in Evanston really makes a difference. I think it was really well received by the horsemen and the attendees being down in Evanston. And overall, just a really, really exciting meet to go from, doing $1 million worth of purses the first year in 2021, all the way to doing 3.3 million. That's a lot of growth in a very short period of time. So it's really exciting to be a part of, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the 307 meet.
Are there any questions for Mr. Ridgway with regards to the live race report? Any comments? Mr. Ridgway, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a good meet.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I guess we'll move along to item number 8, Wyoming Downs LLC. Discussion and consideration of action of A, voluntary closure of Green River OTB.
President Cavello, starting on page 114 of your packet, you will see a letter from Wyoming Downs seeking closure of their Green River OTB facility. I'll let Ms. Laycock speak to the circumstances surrounding it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tracy Laycock, 307 Horse Racing in Wyoming Downs. Green River Wyoming Downs closed on May 21st, 2026. And that was in anticipation of our opening of our Green River Derby property. We really felt like that's what the market needed was, just 2 sites there. So we basically, moved what we had approved over into the Green River Derby. And the Green River Derby, if you haven't been there, is just a really beautiful building. The renovation is really, really special, what we did there. And we have a smoking and non-smoking area. And so we have closed the Wyoming Downs Green River location.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission with regards to the closure at Green River? Ms. Laycock, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 8B.
Sorry, President Cavello. We need a motion and an acceptance of the closure of this so we can pull it off the books.
Ooh.
That way it's no longer a permitted
Pardon
site.
me,
Mr. President,
Vice President Ritholler.
I will make that motion to close it and pull it off.
We have a motion to accept the closure of the list from Vice President Ritholler. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
A second from Commissioner Felton. Is there any discussion? Discussion from the public? No hands raised? Nothing from out there? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving on to item 8B, 2006 live race report.
President Cavello, this will be Mr. Ridgway as well for the Wyoming Downs live race.
Mr. Ridgway, you're back up again. I'm assuming you want your scares.
That's correct. I'll share my screen.
Okay, wonderful.
And I shared the wrong one again. Hold tight.
Okay, you got the good one up.
All right. 2026 Wyoming Downs race meet. And some of this kind of bleeds into what we talked about with the 307 meet just a little bit. One of the things that I just kind of want to show about the time period we were in Evanston is all the different events that we had on the different weekends to bring traffic. So during the Wyoming Downs licensed part, we had over 21,000 individual visitors to the track. We had 20 race dates, over 3 million in purses. 126 employees, as I talked about. So those folks are working. It's a great summer job for somebody at this point because you're starting in May and you can work all the way to back when school starts, basically. And we also had $1.3 million in improvements at the track that I'll highlight a little bit later in the presentation. But a lot of these events were really wonderful events to try to bring traffic out. The Wyoming Downs license ran 20 race days. There were 195 individual races, 129 quarter horse, and 66 thoroughbred races. I thought I'd find a photo finish, but this one wasn't that close. This is kind of a really neat video. For those of you that are familiar with the Meta or Facebook AI glasses where you can take first person camera, I just kind of want to play this video that went viral on social media. One of the jockeys wore the glasses and you can see a first person point of view of a jockey during the race meet. This went viral on social media, and it's just kind of a good way to emphasize how Wyoming Downs is promoting the industry. And they're all. See a shadow ahead, so he's not winning.
I know.
Gaining.
Here's a shot of the grandstand. Attendance and fan engagement. As I said, over 21,000 guests during the 6 weeks of racing for Wyoming Downs. We had 3,000 to 4,000 guests per weekend. We had multiple individual days with over 2,000 attendees at the racetrack. And it's just a beautiful place to watch a race meet. This whole area down here is our updated Clocker's Corner. And we expanded it on the other side for individual guests that you can see they've got tables with their simulcast schedules. They can have food. We have servers for those people. It's a really nice experience. Here's another fan engagement. This was a video that went viral on TikTok that we reposted. There was a guest of ours from Salt Lake who helicoptered over to the racetrack. And I just kind of want to show you this video because there's some great aerial shots of the track as they're coming in. And some beautiful shots of just Wyoming generally. So here's the track. You can see all the barns that we've built over the years and our grandstand and the parking area and your entry into the track. It's a great shot of the water in the middle of the racetrack as well. But that was pretty cool. And just a great shot of all the capital improvements we've made over the years. Here's a shot of the Indian relay races that we had, which is always a really well attended event. Over 3 million in purses this year. Prior year was 2.8 million. So between the two licenses, we had well over 6 million in purses this summer. And as you guys can tell from the presentation, this is a major regional economic activity generator. Here's a shot of the parking lot on a race day. As you can tell, I mean, you can't see it, but probably 80 to 85% of those license plates are folks from Utah coming over. So this is an incredible tourism driver. And it's just really, really well attended. What that does for Uinta County and the city of Evanston is absolutely incredible. We do a lot of community engagement. We had a $20,000 donation this year at the race meet to the Wyoming Hunger Initiative. I talked about Brewfest and the Indian relay races. We had a pink out day supporting breast cancer. I talked about what we did during the 307 meet for the Disabled Jockeys Fund. The governor and the first lady came out for the last weekend of the race meet this year, which was fantastic. Capital investments. We invested over $1.3 million in capital improvements at the facility this year. We added 200 stalls. We have a brand new digital tote board that you can see here with the TV screen embedded in it. We remodeled all of the bathrooms in the facility. We added new paint, new signage, and flooring throughout the facility. We spent a significant amount of money on information technology infrastructure upgrades. We brought fiber all the way out to that track, added a lot of wireless access points, upgraded the PA system, added cameras. The paddock, the jocks room, and the winner's circle all got upgraded, as did the parking lot. This year, we hosted the annual Breeders and Horsemen's Award Banquet. I wish that I had a picture of the check handy because there was, well over $10 million this year in breeders' funds were awarded. The governor and his staff were out there that weekend for the Breeders' Award and got to hand those out to our horsemen, and it was very, very well attended. We had several hundred people there for that banquet this year. And it was just a wonderful thing to participate in. Brandy and Nick and everybody else at the commission do a wonderful job putting that on. And this is the image of the winner's circle after the Governor's Cup race, which was a $370,000 purse for that individual race. The guy who won, the owner who won, is right here. And he was pretty psyched about it.
You can imagine.
Thank you all for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the Wyoming Downs meet.
Thank you, Mr. Ridgway. Are there any questions for Mr. Ridgway? Or Ms. Laycock, and anything to do with 307 or Wyoming Downs while we're here? Okay, well, there's nothing. Thank you again for the report.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
President.
impressive with what's going on. It's an exciting time. Eugene and his outfits, obviously down there in Rock Springs now with Wyoming horse racing, and they've got their meet going on, and soon we'll have Bally's up and running as well. So moving right along to item number 7, Bally's Wyoming LLC, track construction updates.
President Covello, as Mr. Rushton's coming to the table, I will just say one thing. I appreciate Mr. Ridgway's thanks for the awards banquet and what staff does, but I have nothing to do with that. That is all Brandy, and Brandy did a phenomenal job this year.
Kudos to Brandy.
She is online. She's not here in person because she's doing Wyoming bred applications that were due on the 15th. And a lot of people waited until the 15th. Again, we talked earlier, apply early.
Shannon, would you turn there you go.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Pleasure to be here. Shannon Rushton, Executive Director of Racing Operations for Bally's Cheyenne Park. As you'll notice, I don't know if I've told you that before, that we did do a name change out there. It's no longer called Thunder Plains. It is called Bally's Cheyenne Park now. My cohort, I'll let him introduce himself.
Carrie
the gaming's licensing office, this, along with the steward's office on top of that, Jock's room, administrative offices, and a separate test barn trailer there as well that will be enclosed in a fenced secured area as well on that. Had the pleasure of President Covello coming out, I think about 10 days ago or something, and looked at the site. And we're extremely excited about what's going on. We believe we're still on track to get your approval September 1st, unless for some reason today somebody would just like to give us a thumbs up and say roll on.
Are we able to pull that up?
President Covello, I'm trying to, but it's not working real great here. I'll keep working on it though. Just so you're all aware, we do have the final inspection scheduled for September 1st. So that's the day that we'll be out there to do the final inspection, or the final safety inspection, I should say.
And that takes 3 days, roughly?
Roughly 3 days, yeah.
Okay. Yes. And I did have the chance to see the track, obviously. Lots been done. There's obviously more to be done, but we wish them all the best as far as being able to finish things up and having a successful race season in October. Commissioners, liaisons, representatives, does anyone have any questions for the folks from Valley Cheyenne Park? Commissioner Bowl.
This is obvious maybe, but you have power to the property? Electric power?
President, Commissioner Bowl, yes, we do. The site is hot. We have 5 wells that have been completely drilled, 450,000 gallon cistern that's in the process of being completed, but the site is hot, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Schiffer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rushton, I was there, I snuck on the property in early July. I tell you, I was so impressed. You know, the rail looks great. The cert you were putting on the surface then. I just, you know, I think that I just would hope you could address maybe how long it's going to take for that surface to settle and become a surface that you can race on.
Mr. President.
It's a general question, so just if you would address it, please. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Schiffer, we will have equipment on site next week and begin to work the surface at that point in time. Everything that we put on as a cushion, we basically sealed and let it set and let it kind of compact itself for about a month. And now we're getting ready to bring it back to life with the amount of water we're going to need to put on it, the harrowing, the conditioner that we'll put on there. I expect within 10 days, it's going to look pristine.
While we're on that subject, and you talked about water, obviously you're building an on-site cistern, but you want to tell a little bit about your plans for backup water and so forth?
Mr. President, I'm happy to do that. Janice Harms, a wonderful lady that owns the agricultural property next to us, has had an agreement with our predecessors in which we purchase some of her water through her pivot next door. It pumps 650 gallons a minute, and she has agreed. There's I call it a hose, but it's not quite a hose. As a matter of fact, it's quite a bit larger than that. And we can turn the spigot on and use that at any time we need to. She's a wonderful partner with us.
That is in place. I saw it.
Makes me sleep a lot better at night, Commissioners, I'll tell you that.
Any other questions or comments from the commission with regards? Yes, Commissioner Schiffer.
Again, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rushton, I don't know if you're able, but tell us about the kind of long-term, I mean, if we get through this meet, address for us, what's going to happen? Where are you headed?
Mr. President. Commissioner Schiffer, long-term, what we're looking to do on down the line is we will have 400 stalls on site this year. I'm going to save 100 of those for haul-ins. I know I'm going to have a huge haul-in number. We've kept Valley's Arapahoe Park open as well for folks that might want to move in there to ship back and forth. I've got about 500 head of horses at Arapahoe Park right now that want to participate in Cheyenne. So that is a limited view right now. We look to build on to have around 1,000 stalls when it's all said and done, I hope within the next year to 2 years. So that we can have on-site presence there instead of horsemen having to haul back and forth.
Follow up on that with regards to, obviously, you've moved in trailers for a lot of this stuff. Do you anticipate putting permanent structures for jock rooms and for testing labs and for grandstands and so forth?
Mr. President, yes, we actually have the building purchased. It hasn't been delivered to us yet, but it will be a combination one-size-fits-all building. So on one end, you will house the Division of Gaming, move in next to administrative offices. Next will be the racing office and the jocks room on the end of that, all encompassed in one facility. At the end of that, then we'll have the test barn to the west of that. But it will be a permanent structure, permanent building, enough office space for everybody's folks to be able to get in and do their jobs.
And will you address what you intend to do for this race meet as far as addressing people coming to the event, as far as you have temporary structures of stands and so forth? Would you elaborate just a little bit?
Mr. President, it will feel a lot this year like a county fair type of environment. We will have a lot of tents that will be set up, large tents with food, beverage, alcoholic drinks for those who like to participate. I definitely may need one when this is all pulled off and said and done, but we will have those on site. We are working closely with a father-daughter team there in Cheyenne that has a county liquor license, which makes things a lot simpler for us to come out and provide alcoholic beverages for that. We are going to utilize the food truck network in Cheyenne to come out and set up 12 to 15 different trucks. One thing I hate about racetracks, I'll just give you an idea. Our closing weekend at Arapahoe, we had a horrible day Saturday because of the weather. The jockeys, after about halfway through the car, didn't like how the track was drying. And I said, look, I'll never ask you to ride on a track you're not comfortable with. So we called the day, had the patrons upset, and I said, guess what? Tomorrow's the last day, free admission. We had 8,000 people there on the closing day, and there were lines, which I hate. So we're going to try and do everything we can with numerous food trucks, numerous bars, numerous whatever you can name that we would need out there to ensure people have a pleasurable experience and don't have to wait in line 20 minutes to get a Coke.
Anyone else with any questions or comments? Go ahead, Commissioner
As
Jeffrey.
long as we got you here, thank you, Mr. President. So first kind of follow up. So you're going to have United, you're going to have betting on the races this fall. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Wyoming breds. You have an agreement with one of the Wyoming horsemen.
We are working through that as we speak, Commissioner Schiffer. Yes, should have that done within the next day or two.
Okay. And so do you anticipate that you're going to help the Wyoming breds, or you're going to, write some race? I assume you don't have a condition book written yet, but that you're going to accommodate the Wyoming bred horsemen.
Mr. President. Commissioner Schiffer, the first thing I did in communicating with Dan Lee is we made Cheyenne Park the home of the Wyoming Stallion Breeders Futurity, Derby, and Maturity. So I contributed a significant amount of money to those races to kind of help. He said that they hadn't ran the last couple of years because they didn't really have a place for them. So we gave them a home at Valley Cheyenne Park to encourage Wyoming breds. We will, by state statute, offer Wyoming bred races in our condition book every day. And with those sufficient entries, which I'm quite sure we'll have plenty of, we will be using those as well. I have had, how do I say this? An increased number of calls from the thoroughbred industry side of things saying, with a mile racetrack there, you're going to try and run more thoroughbreds because we don't get to run that many thoroughbreds at Wyoming Downs or at Sweetwater. So I've taken those calls as well. So I'm cognizant on all sides of it, and will do everything in my power to make it a positive place for those folks to be able to participate.
Any follow-up?
That's great.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Very good.
We sure look forward to having you all out there on October 2nd.
You bet. While we're right there, we'll move right into item 9B.
President Covello, item 9B is going to be Bally's Wyoming LLC's list of racing officials. As I scroll down to get that, I wanted to let you all know that Wyoming Horse Racing and Bally's have entered into a 100-mile agreement. I know that they're currently in discussions with Wyoming Downs for a 100-mile agreement, but they have a signed deal with Wyoming Horse Racing and Bally's for this year for the 100-mile agreement. So looking forward to hopefully seeing one with Wyoming Downs as well. The next one is the race officials, and that's going to start on page 116 of your packet. The only thing that I would point out, I think in your packet, currently number 4, the track safety officer, I think in your packet, it's actually blank. It's not blank anymore. That has been filled by Paula Rogers. So that position has been filled. The only other thing that I would bring your attention to is lines 5, 9, and 12. You'll see that the racing secretary, the paddock judge, and the identifier are all the same person. The commission has kind of taken a stance about having multiple roles or an individual person doing multiple roles. We have allowed for the paddock judge and the identifier to be the same because that job takes place in the exact same place. The identifier is in the paddock and the paddock judge should be in the paddock. And then also the starter is that Sean Demoni, and he's also the stall superintendent. Historically, we haven't let the starter have more than one job. This one is a little bit different, and I'll let Shannon speak to it. This one, I don't think we've ever had an operator have like an office personnel fill that role. They were usually filling them with other race-related roles, and so that's up for you all to decide and discuss, but that's a little background on it.
Okay. Go ahead, Dale.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, as you look down there through our officials, I basically mirrored what we do at Arapahoe Park. We do combined jobs there because we tend to pay a little more, and I call ourselves a band of gypsies because we just kind of follow that circuit. And so in order to benefit those folks, if they can do a couple jobs, they make more money, and they're very happy about that, and they're extremely capable of doing it, such as my racing secretary at Cheyenne. Based upon the new rules, we will enter on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There will only be one Friday that we enter on, and that's because we're running on Monday, Indigenous Peoples Day. So we'll enter on that Friday for that following Monday. But we will enter on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, so there's no live racing going on an entry day. My racing secretary also served as the paddock judge and the identifier at Arapahoe this year. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the identifier position. You basically carry a wand that's given with you and wand the chip on the side of the neck of the horse, and it'll pop up on there and tell you, yep, that's the right horse in this race, and it's not the wrong horse, those type of things. So he's extremely familiar with all that. To me, it's a natural fit. The racing secretary is in charge of all the papers. He's in charge of the racing program. He's in charge of all those things. So he kind of handles that role. And he's not doing necessarily any of his racing secretary duties on a race day. So I believe he can fill that role as the paddock judge and the identifier, which he's done at Arapahoe extremely well. I will tell you in Colorado, when they do their background checks, they said, well, we're not sure about him. And after the first weekend, they said, great hire. So I feel very positive about him being able to do that. With Sean Demoni has about 30 years experience being a starter. I list him as a backup identifier because we have to do that in Colorado in case for some reason the identifier gets sick and we have to plug somebody in. That's why you see backup identifier next to his name. I've asked him to be the stall superintendent just because he does his Arapahoe as well, and same type of thing. Usually of a morning, he's very well equipped to handle any issues on the backside with his staff. But receiving the stall applications, allocating stalls, that's really a big job before the meet starts. After the meet begins, it's almost non-existent and hard to find the stable superintendent anywhere because they feel like they've done their job at that point in time. If there are some concerns, happy to address them. Trying to think who else I have here. Kathy Passy, Horseman's bookkeeper, office manager. We basically just say, as the Horseman's bookkeeper, she just monitors the whole office to make sure everything's fine there. So that's why we list her in those two positions. Look at anything else. I think everybody else is kind of a single person. The one lady that was listed as our safety officer, Paula Rogers, she served as the association steward at Arapahoe Park. In Colorado, the state hires 2 stewards that are the state stewards, and the association hires 1 steward as an association steward. So I asked her to be my safety steward for Cheyenne.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I have a problem with the same person occupying number 5, number 9, and number 12. We haven't let anybody else do it, and we just can't go. I don't believe we can go forward and let you have an exception here without
Understood.
causing a big problem. So I think we need to fix that. Commission, do you agree? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a record, I just would like to remind the council, or excuse me, the commission, that we were denied having any duplicate roles last year. You voted no. We had to come back to you at a separate meeting. We would strenuously object to any dual roles because that is what we have, the standard we have been held to.
President Covello, just to make that clear, Wyoming Downs and 307 were still allowed to have the identifier and the paddock judge as the same person. They
Okay.
weren't denied all roles. What they were denied originally, and what this was started from, was having the identifier, the paddock judge, and the starter as the same person. And having the starter and the paddock judge was causing problems because the starter should be at the starting gate, not in the
So if
paddock.
we allowed 9 and 12, but we can't allow 5.
Correct. I mean, to be consistent, 9 and 12, Brad Fowler could be the paddock judge and the identifier because we've allowed that this entire year for all of the tracks. It was the same. But yeah, to fill that also as number 5, that would go outside of the scope of what you've done before.
So yeah, I would not vote to approve this without a change in number 5.
Mr. President, can I get clarification on what number 5 is based on what I'm looking at here?
Oh,
I'm not
sorry.
sure who that
Racing
is and what
secretary.
role.
So you've got Mr. Fowler's racing secretary, paddock judge, and identifier. So they can be paddock judge and identifier, as Director Laramendi has pointed out.
Okay.
That's happening the other 2 other racetracks, but we can't allow number 5.
Okay.
President Covello.
Also 10 and 16.
And could I get who those are, please?
Okay, so
President
number
Covello.
starter and number 16 is stall superintendent.
Okay,
So Mr. Demoni cannot hand.
I'll split those roles.
Yes.
Okay. I can do that. I apologize. I basically mirrored what I had at Arapahoe. So there was no intent to try to cause any issues with the other operators or anything else.
Do you know what changes you'll make today?
I've got a rough idea right now, yes, but I have to ask the persons if they're willing to step up and do that. But I've got people that I can plug into those roles, yes.
President Covello, if I may. Shannon, are you going to have Brad do
Brad will stay as the racing secretary.
racing secretary? So then you're going to fill the paddock judge and the identifier with somebody else?
Right now, I can tell you I'm looking at a gentleman by the name of Martin Trujillo to be the identifier and the paddock judge. My problem there is
Once
he's also
again-
an assistant starter.
Once again, you can't have 2.
Well, I thought the other operators did on the,
Only on,
The paddock judge and the identifier
Yeah,
can be
just
the same
paddock
person.
judge.
yeah, that's who I was looking at there for that. I've got to make sure he'll step off the starting gates as an assistant starter and do that role for me. So that's a name I'm thinking of right now. And then I'll come up with a name for the stable superintendent.
okay.
Are we okay leaving backup identifier under Sean Demoni, or would you like that taken off?
President Covello, we don't do backups in Wyoming, so.
Fine, we'll remove that.
Okay.
President Covello, so if I may, I think the way that I have this now is we have the paddock judge. The paddock judge and the identifier are now blank. and the stall superintendent is now blank. You could approve this with those 3 blanks, and then we could have the Board of Stewards review the other 2 names that they provide and approve those. The Board of Stewards has the authority to approve changes of officials. They had to do it for Wyoming horse racing just this year at the start of the season. If you want to go that route.
So
I can
we'll
give you
allow
names.
9 and 12 to be the same, but that's it. Because that's being done elsewhere. That's correct?
That is correct.
If I may make my record,
Certainly go
Mr.
right ahead.
Fellow, thank you. I would disagree respectfully with Mr. Laramendi. We promoted, we put the list forward, you voted, we had to ask for a special meeting to come back. I don't know why we would give special treatment here. I think that they need to submit their list and call a special meeting for this to be approved. This is putting new people on the list. It's not replacing someone. It's replacing a duplicate role. And so we would just ask that they be held to the same standard as that Wyoming Downs was.
Thank you.
Would you like me to give you some names today?
Yes. If you want to give us names, we'll approve those. If they change, we'll have to have a special
I'll give you
meeting.
names right now. The stable superintendent will be Temple Rushton, TEMPLE RUSHTON. The paddock judge and identifier will be Martin Trujillo, MARTIN, last name TRUJILLO.
Just table this for a second.
Okay. You got them? We could table this if you want to call those people, or are you pretty confident they'll do it?
I'm confident they'll do it.
Okay. All right, so we can approve these without change. If you want to have change, we'll have to have a special meeting.
Absolutely.
President Cavello, so we'd just be looking for a motion to approve these as amended now. And I have the amended copy here.
Okay, why don't you go down through it real quick, please?
Okay, so the name of the association, Valleys Wyoming LLC. The general manager is Shannon Rushton. Track superintendent is Cody. I'm not even going to try last names if I can't.
I'll help you with that. Cody Maluski. And let me give you one change here. Do not put Martin Trujillo down as the paddock judge and identifier. Put down Joe. No, he's my. Let me double check here.
Your Honor, I think we need to take it on having submitted a revised list. Do the stupid special meeting. Let's do this correctly. Tracy's right. I can remember making 307 go through this exercise. Let's just do it right. Instead of what we're doing.
Yep.
Let's give you a chance.
That's great. I can have it to you in
Submit a proper
24 hours. I can have it to you in 24 hours.
We talk to people.
Yep.
And then that way you can vet everybody. Okay,
Yeah, let's do that.
you're good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, we will table this.
As long as it
part then.
doesn't cause me any issues for my October 2nd opening. Is there any statutes that cause an issue with that?
No.
We'll have to have a special meeting before, but as life goes, that's not the end of the world.
All right, we will table this.
Motion to table, Your Honor.
Have a motion to table item number 9B. Do I hear a second? A second from Commissioner Felton. Any discussion? Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll table 9B till a special meeting until such time as Mr. Rushton can provide us with a completed list and it can be vetted by staff. All right, thank you.
President Cavello, if I may, real quick, before we move to item 10A,
You bet.
you want to take a quick 10-minute break? This one's going to be probably a pretty lengthy discussion.
Okay, yes, we'll take a short break.
Can I, question?
Yes, Vice President Ritholland.
The handicap, is it? The handicapper is all right being a double.
Yeah, what about, What about the handicap? Can that be?
It's not made to make handicap.
All right, we'll come back at 11 o'clock. I mean, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Okay,
Okay,
so the
Mr.
handicap
President.
works. I just was curious. We doubled up on these. Yeah. You know what I'm gonna have to do? Put a jacket on?
All right. We are going to get back to session. During. 10A, Commission Order 2026-01, order prohibiting collegiate athletic proposition wagers.
President Cavillo.
Right ahead.
Item number 10A, Commission Order 2026-01, a little backstory on this. During the last commission meeting, there was discussion about beginning the rule promulgation process to prohibit prop bets on collegiate athletics. When we began doing the review of the rules and how to change that, I had found in Chapter 4, Section 1K of the rules that authorizes the commission to approve or prohibit specific event categories and wagers types, and to require sports wagering operators and sports wagering vendors to conduct wagering in accordance with commission approval. After I read the current rules and speaking with Mr. Kaler, we had found that there's two ways to go about this. If you all choose to prohibit prop bets on collegiate athletes or collegiate athletics, we can do it through a rulemaking process and add a new section in the rules to prohibit that. However, you already have the authority to ban this if you so choose. So that's where this came out. In this one, just for the sake of, I guess, notice, I am going to read this one in its entirety. That way it's in the record. It's Wyoming Gaming Commission Order Number 2026-01, titled The Prohibition of Collegiate Athlete Proposition Wagers. Whereas the Wyoming Legislature has vested the Wyoming Gaming Commission with the authority to regulate online sports wagering in Wyoming under Wyoming Statute 924-101 through 106, and required that the commission promulgate rules establishing standards and procedures for conducting online sports wagering. And whereas pursuant to that authority, the commission has adopted rules establishing standards and procedures for conducting online sports wagering. And whereas Chapter 4, Section 1K of the commission's online sports wagering rules authorizes the commission to approve or prohibit specific event categories and wager types, and to require sports wagering operators and sports wagering vendors to conduct wagering in accordance with commission approval. And whereas prior to this order, the commission has previously authorized proposition wagers involving the statistical performance of individual collegiate athletes. And whereas Chapter 4, Section 1D of the commission's online sports wagering rules authorize the commission to issue orders revoking, suspending, or modifying any approval of of an event category or wager type for any cause the commission considers reasonable. Now, therefore, pursuant to the authority vested by the commission or vested in the commission by the laws of the state of Wyoming, the commission hereby orders and directs proposition wagers involving the statistical performance of individual collegiate athletes present elevated integrity risk due to the age and status of collegiate athletes, increase susceptibility to harassment, and heightened risk of coercion or improper influence. Page 2, number 2, prohibiting collegiate athlete proposition wagers is reasonable to promote public confidence in legal sports wagering, protect student athletes, and to safeguard the integrity of sporting events. Number 3, effective 12:01 Mountain Time on October 1st, 2026, all licensed online sports wagering operators and sports wagering vendors shall cease offering, accepting, or settling any collegiate athlete proposition wager based upon the performance or statistical achievements of an individual participant in any collegiate sporting event. Number 4, each online sports wagering operator and sports wagering vendor shall remove all prohibited collegiate athlete proposition wagers from its wagering platform no later than this order's effective date. Number 5, any wager accepted in violation of this order shall be void and refunded in accordance with commission rules. Number 6, the prohibition does not apply to wagers on team-based proposition wagers that do not depend upon the statistical performance of an individual student athlete, provided such wagers have otherwise been approved by the commission. Number 7, failure to comply with this order constitute a violation of Wyoming Gaming Commission rules and may be subject to permit holder or may subject a permit holder to disciplinary action, including fine, suspension, modification, or revocation of its permit or license. This is executive order is effective 12:01 Mountain Time on October 1st, 2026, and shall remain in effect until such time modified or rescinded by further commission action. President Covello, I will answer any questions on the order itself, and I know that we will have some public comment on this one as well.
Thank you, Director Laramendi. So I'm a huge proponent of this particular order. We heard from Senator Crum. He came here and spoke to us. He went to school at the University of Wyoming, played football. His son just graduated here a couple of years ago, now plays for the Denver Broncos. He strongly believes that this is something we need to do. I've spoken with Tom Berman over at the University of Wyoming and other people involved in athletics with the University of Wyoming and collegiate athletics. This does not fix everything that's wrong in the gaming industry. But I do believe it does address a systemic problem. And I don't think we need to give another chance for these young people to be harassed or involved in wagering. And I think this is a good step. Other states have done this. And I think oftentimes Wyoming is at the forefront of taking some of these actions. And I think it would be a good move on our part. And with that, I've said my piece, and I'll open it up to anyone else who thinks yes or no. Mr. Lubnow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I have 2 messages to share from you. The first, of course, from my boss, the governor, who is supportive of this rule and the concerns with respect to harassment of 18-year-old kids right out of high school, up to 21, 22, 23 years old. The other, I happened to speak with Senator Crum last week, who you all know his position, and he expresses his regrets that he had another obligation and can't be here, but wanted to pass on the same concerns that he passed on before, that, you know, the difference between losing a basketball game by 4 points and 6 points makes a big difference in a proposition bet. Doesn't affect the record, but leads a kid down a road of corruption that perhaps we don't want to be available to those kids, and particularly at a time when money in sports, collegiate, I guess amateur, for lack of a better word, sports has become such a big thing where the schools are paying $7 or $10 million to get basketball players to come. So from both of those parties, they would encourage you to pass this rule and protect these kids and all of our kids as best you can.
Commissioners, anyone else have an opinion or want to ask a question or any dialogue? Vice President Rithaler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I understand it right, it doesn't have to go through the public process, the governor's signature. It is done with this passing. Am I correct?
President Covello, Vice President Rithaler, that is correct. So the rules grant the commission the authority to issue an order to prohibit this. And this is exactly what this is. This would be a commission order banning this, and it would go into effect October 1st. That date, October 1st, was just a date that I came, you know, I mean, you could actually make it midnight tonight, but I wanted to give a little bit of time in there to make changes and everything else. Real quick on as well in your packet, and I know that you all probably received it starting on page 122, You received a letter from the Sports Betting Alliance, comments regarding this proposed order. I believe that somebody from the Sports Betting Alliance is online that would like to speak to this as well when you're ready for that.
Okay, do we need to speak before or wait until we have a motion?
Yeah.
Wait till you have a motion and then you can.
So before we're there, is there anyone else? Yes, Vice President Ritholler.
Is this the proper time to make a motion? Oh, excuse me. Is this the proper time to make a motion?
Absolutely.
I would make a motion that, let me get it correct, that, turn the page too fast. That order 2026-01, I make a motion that we approve it today.
I'll
We-
second that.
We have a motion from Vice President Ritholler and a second from Commissioner Kura to approve Order 2026-01. Now we're comments from the commission. Commissioners, anyone like to? Yes, Commissioner Schiffer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a really tough issue, and I'm sure everyone else agrees. When we started the online wagering, if my memory is correct, there was a book of different sports that the online people were telling us they would accept wagers on. And we said, that's fine. We're gonna, let you all figure out which are the sports that you want to accept wagers on. And basically they had full purview to do that. Now we're talking about changing that basic formula so that now we're saying, you can have the book, but there's certain of those things that you can't have. And I really haven't seen a lot of evidence, proof, or otherwise, which says that this group of people are more adversely affected than other groups of people. So to single out, and I'm sympathetic to, 18-year-old kids, but if 18-year-old kids are making $2 million, they better spend some of that $2 million to protect themselves. So, I really think that this is, an issue that's much bigger than what this short-term Band-Aid we're trying to put on here. I don't see how we're gonna, help these kids, truly speaking, by what we're doing here today. If kids are gonna take advantage of the system, they're gonna do that. And this rule in our limited state, I just don't see that it's the answer. I think that, the operators are the people who need to, step up and spend the money to protect the athletes, to protect the integrity of the sport, to get federal legislation to oversee it, and to provide penalties for the bad people who are involved. I just think this is a feel-good thing that's going to cause a bureaucratic headache. Probably we're going to get sued and on. And, I respect Governor Gordon, respect Senator Crum. I just don't think it's the answer to the problem. So I'd like to see us go slower, do some more research, get some more information from the people who have all the money on the table, and figure out a really good solution as opposed to just this little Band-Aid. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Commissioner Wildcat, your hand is raised. Unmute yourself. The floor is yours.
President Covello, her hand's not raised. That's just the mouse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind, Jake.
President Cafelli, if I may, just real quickly, just a point of clarification. So the catalog, the online sports wagering catalog that we have, it does it based on event types, not wager types. So like in this instance, NCAA is an event type, NCAA football or NCAA basketball. That's the events that they can wager on. They would still be able to wager on NCAA basketball, NCAA football, all of those. It's just this is designed for the in-game prop bets. So it wouldn't remove them from the catalog. It's a wagering type. I just wanted to make sure that was understood.
Commissioner Felton.
Thank you, President. Well, I just wanted to go on record. I did a little research on this. I read the letter that was sent to us. And I think there's definitely a question both sides, right, on whether you legalize it and kind of regulate it or whether we do away with it. And based on what I found, and I'm happy to share all these findings because it wasn't real hard, if I'm honest, to find a number of incidents where these student athletes have been harassed, have been caught actually shaving points in their own basketball games, and even within the Mountain West Conference, that this has occurred with some basketball teams and such. So I think it's a very real concern, the prop bets. I think it also allows, for them to be tempted to do these kinds of things. And I think it's important that we take that away. Thank you.
Anyone else, commissioners? Liaisons, representatives? Anyone have anything they'd like to say? Public, are there any hands raised online? What's? Mr. Chumbett? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. President.
We've got you loud and clear. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, fellow commissioners. As you said, my name is Lou Trombetta. I work for FanDuel. I'm here today on behalf of the Sports Betting Alliance, the organization that sent the letter that you just referred to. Sports Betting Alliance here stands by kind of the language in the letter. I mean, I can read the room. I understand kind of the conversation has been helpful. We would just like to suggest and to just make sure that it is stated that as we've outlined in the letter, the order right now, particularly the second paragraph and the therefore clause, addresses integrity. And we'd like to just point out that college prop bet markets are helpful not just to the individual companies, but to the industry as a whole in identifying anomalies in betting patterns, which ultimately lead to the identification of some type of wrongdoing. So in effect, keeping prop bet markets on college sports available is actually a tool used by both regulators and enforcement agencies around the country to respond to allegations of illegal wagering. And so this, again, I'll try to be quick here and wrap up. I appreciate the way you guys move this meeting. I've spoken on this topic in other states. I'm a former regulator. I was the executive director of the Gaming Commission in Florida before joining FanDuel. And I know that this decision is not a simple decision. I think you all are trying to do the right thing. And the Sports Betting Alliance as a whole, I think is in line with that intent. We want to protect the industry. We want to protect athletes. And frankly, we work with NCAA to do that. We just don't think that this is the appropriate measure to do that. It's also my understanding that Wyoming is one of the first states to adopt rules to actually ban players if they're found to be harassing athletes. To us, that's a more useful and accurate and precise tool to respond to this activity. That's also what we do from the company side. FanDuel, I can talk about if we know and we find out that a user of our platform is harassing players, we ban them. We kick them off our sites. We don't want that behavior to be conducted. But we also, as I've stated and what's stated in the letter, we do encourage regulatory bodies around the country to continue to offer these betting markets, and for a few reasons. Obviously, from the company's perspective, people like these options. So we want to have that out there. But the other side too is a real concern. We were talking about a Band-Aid. It isn't the correct Band-Aid for this problem. I think Wyoming has already taken a step in the direction of putting the right Band-Aid on, frankly. But this one does kind of takes, the problem is that it adds more risk into the situation by essentially pushing some of these bets underground where it's harder to figure out what's actually happening. And with that, I will pause or stop at your discretion, but I am available for any questions and happy to help. And again, thank you for allowing me to participate today.
Absolutely, and thank you. Anyone else online? Vice President Ritholler.
Thank you, President. You said you are available for questions. I was wondering if I could ask him a question.
Absolutely.
So how many states have done this? Are we the ringleader?
No.
No, sorry, Mr. President, I apologize. I'm not sure on the procedures. Everything through you.
Fine, go ahead. You're good.
Yes, sir. Thank you. No, you would not be the first state to do this if you do pass this. Other states have considered this and I think I was in Indiana 2 months ago or a month ago where they were considering a similar option. They decided to put it on the table and get more information. That too, I think our letter does kind of go into it. I think, maybe conducting rulemaking is a more appropriate step because it allows more information to be gathered before you make this decision.
Any other questions or comments? Representative Davis?
Thank you, Mr. President. So if I hear you correctly, the unregulated platforms still are doing this, correct? It's, the regulated ones are trying to prohibit this. Is that what I'm catching here?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. If I may, through you. So yes, essentially these prop bets are still going to exist for people around the country and including in Wyoming, just on different platforms. So, one of the decision points states make when they decide to regulate sports betting is that they want to kind of bring it into the light so that they have more oversight over it, right? That's kind of one of the goals. And I know, like in my past, when we had decisions like this, difficult decisions, it was always, we try to focus on the big picture. What are we really trying to accomplish and solve here as a regulated body? And integrity is always at the forefront. Which again, I understand what you're going through and why you're considering this. It makes sense. But the reality is, as you mentioned, that player proposition wagering will still exist, not just in Wyoming but outside. Players, unfortunately, will still be harassed. And I know that doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything, but again, I think Wyoming, you are leading the charge here in the rules that you passed. Not many state regulators have done that, and so I think you are already moving in the right direction. And I don't know if this order will really further those interests.
Anyone else?
President Covello.
Commissioner Schiffer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Trombetta, I have a couple things I'd like to talk to you about. One, could you address harassment that's happening in other sports, say professional football, baseball? That'll be one issue, and I can let you respond to that, and then I have a second question, if I might.
Yes, sir. So, as I think you're suggesting, harassment among athletes, it is not necessarily new either. I think you could probably track it with the rise of kind of social media. This and even before that. I think we've all gone to games as a child. I remember I was and kind of shocked at some of the language you heard from the stands, and what people were saying to referees. I remember as a 10-year-old, my first hockey game, I was like, wow. So I don't think there's really a direct correlation to like the increase of harassment due to the passage of online sports betting. I think that they both kind of happened at the same time, just in that social media became more popular, gain users. At the same time, sports betting grew throughout the country. It will continue to exist in professional sports. We've seen major incidents in soccer. It does unfortunately happen at the collegiate level. And I think it is something, sorry to be repetitive, that like Sports Betting Alliance, it's a difficult issue to talk about because we do really prioritize, player safety. We don't want people on our platform harassing the players. It's just not a good thing for the industry as a whole, but it's an industry it's an issue that goes beyond sports betting. And we've seen, again, we just don't think it's necessarily the correct approach to do this when you're really trying to, protect and eliminate athlete harassment. We think there's other ways to do it.
Go ahead.
Okay, which that leads me to my second question. What are the ways we're going to stop, counter this harassment and the potential of athletes cheating to make money wagering? Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to kind of split that up into two parts, if you don't mind. I think the athletes cheating is a little bit separate also from the harassment. I think harassment, you all are already moving in that direction. I think legislation, I know it's difficult because of the free speech issues involved, but the rule that you've adopted, I think is a good way to do it. It's something that I've encouraged in other states as well, either through the legislature or gaming commissions where they have that ability. I think you have to tackle kind of the other, where this is happening. It's not, we don't offer people a way to, what would be the right word, to echo their voice, right? We're just a sports betting platform. It's happening on other platforms that we don't control. The second part is kind of on the cheating side. There have been, I'd say, a rise in the number of known, let's just say, cheating scandals that have come out in the last few years. I think one of the things that the Sports Betting Alliance would encourage and would emphasize is that a lot of those, a lot of them are discovered through information that, frankly, we have, that we share with the leagues, with independent, there's independent organizations that work to assess the data that we have and figure out what's going on if we think there are something strange is happening, essentially. And so all of the major sports betting companies operate and have agreements with these third parties, so that the third parties kind of can gather information, say, whoa, there's a really weird betting behavior on this particular game. Let's say there's a huge bet when usually it's not very big. And then it leads to an investigation, either through a gaming regulator or through law enforcement, that has uncovered wrongdoing. But again, we think from the SBA, but also, I think it's something for you all to consider, that one of the things that's leading to discovery of these is all the data that we have. And as we take markets down for whatever reason, we lose an important tool in the ability to respond to that, because the illegal sites where people will still be making these prop bets on don't share the data with these independent integrity operators the way we do. They have no interest in working with law enforcement because it's not, they're operating outside the law. And so, they're kind of two different things, and there is overlap in that betting markets, whether it's collegiate prop bets or, even just, over-unders or things like that, are all helpful tools in the fight against wrongdoing, and really very helpful in our goal. That's a shared goal with you all, to make sure that this, wagering activity happens with integrity. That's really the bottom line.
Vice President Ritholler.
Sorry to keep bugging you. You seem like a fountain of information. What percentage of total sports, not just NCAA, total sports, is prop betting versus just the regular online? What is your percentage? And I have another question after he answers that one.
Yes, sir. And not to kind of wiggle out of this one, I don't know the full answer, and it depends a lot on the sport type. Some sports are better fit for prop bets. Some are not. Like, for example, like golf. Golf is, depending on how you call it, lots of that is kind of prop. I would be happy to supplement the record when I talk to my teams. I don't want to give you the wrong information, especially when you just gave me a compliment. But it is a substantial amount. I can give you that.
And then my second thing is, so your theory is that you got to legalize it to regulate it and keep it safe.
Yes, sir. Yeah, my theory, and again, former regulator, I believe in regulation. I think a regulated market is a safer market for consumers. It works with just the bigger goals of generating state revenue to help solve some of the inherent issues that a very, very small percentage of the population has. And it allows companies like FanDuel and like the other SBA members to operate in this space, who hold themselves to a high standard, work with you all to make sure that we're living up to the expectations that you have. And it just forms a better relationship in which there's just more oversight. Everybody kind of knows what's going on. It's more of an even playing field.
And I guess what makes me ask that question is when you're watching a Super Bowl game with 20 seconds left to go and a running back with nobody in sight hits his skids like a horse sliding on his hocks and stops 3 yards short. And the announcers say that's clock management. And I wonder if that's spread management or clock management. That's the one that bothers me. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank
Anyone
you.
else? Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this all kind of relates to the iGaming industry that is really attacking the nation right now. And how do we regulate iGaming? You know, and I agree with Commissioner Schiffer that this is a great statement, but this is still going to occur because we can't regulate the internet. And so with that being said, you know, I think there's discussions nationally on what can we do with the internet. And that's an ongoing discussion from what I've been to the different seminars and stuff. But anyway, just a statement. Thank you.
Anyone else? Your Honor. Yes, Commissioner Bolt.
Mr. Trombetti, do you know, or can you tell us how much money is wagered on NCAA property bets? Prop bets?
I can't, sir. I apologize. I just don't have it with me, and I'd hate to give you the wrong number, but I'd be happy to follow up with it.
Did you say it's a low number, or do you know?
I don't know. What I do know is that college prop bets are not a huge market in many states. We also, you know, unlike, let's say, let's just compare football. If you compare NFL props on individual players to collegiate props, there just aren't as many because, you know, the companies that operate in the space want to make sure, again, that we're offering props in a way that is safe and with integrity. So I think you'll find that, like, you know, we, unlike Division III schools, I don't want to say no one offers them. I don't know. Somebody might, but it's not something that we try to offer.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Laramendi, you know, I hear that other states are looking for more information, and I understand, I identify with that request. But is there any kind of objective analysis out there that takes on this question of whether we're better off removing the temptation versus leaving the temptation and regulating it? Is there anything out there that really answers that question? Or is it something that we're going to have to try and see and find out? You know, are we really going to get any more? Are we really going to get any more information that's useful in this endeavor?
President Cavello, Commissioner Bull, that's a good question. And we've tried to find, you know, the right path. There's a lot of different information out there, and it all kind of goes everywhere. There is really no set, like, this is the best way to deal with this. You know, we started this conversation probably 2 years ago.
Yes, we did.
And when we started that conversation, the first kind of path that we took was the promulgation of rules that allows the commission to involuntarily exclude people if they're found to harass players. So if we get a complaint to our office and we find that somebody committed harassment, we can ban them from the commission can blacklist them basically. But again, that blacklists them across all the legal platforms. But there still is kind of a nationwide move to really examine prop bets on collegiate athletes. But I really wish I had a better answer for you, but there is really no fix all.
Commissioners.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you. Nick, have we banned any player, involuntarily excluded any players?
President Cavello, we have not. No, we have not received any information to involuntarily exclude somebody to date.
Anyone else?
President Cavello.
Mr. Wildcat, the floor is yours.
Hi, I actually just wanted to add a little bit to it. According to all of my research, at least 12 to 13 states at least have been making moves such as this in various aspects. So I know one of y'all had asked about that as well. And me being a huge NCAA basketball fan, that was something that I particularly looked at. And according to their own data, it's been about 37% of their athletes had reported harassment. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Wildcat. Anyone else? All right, we're going to proceed to vote. Let's do a roll call because this obviously is probably not as easy as some of the other ones. So if you would please do a roll call, Mr. Laramendi.
President Covello, this is going to be a roll call vote on, let me get to the right page.
Roll call vote on order 2026-01 prohibition of collegiate athlete proposition wagers.
President Covello.
Aye.
Commissioner Torgerson is absent. Commissioner Bowl.
Mr. President, I'm going to vote for this motion. I just wanted to state my reasoning, which I haven't done yet. You know, it may be better to do a regulated approach to it, but my thinking is if we take away prop betting for NCAA athletes, at least the easy temptation, which is out there now, is gone. Now, I understand that they can still do it on the illegal market, but I think that's more difficult to do and more burdensome. So for that reason, I'm going to vote for this motion, and I vote aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Schiffer.
I'm going to vote no. And I just want to say that, just to correct Commissioner Bowl, sites like Kalshi are not illegal. So people are betting on those sites. We have no control over them. And I just don't think this is an effective way to stop the problem. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sinclair. You are muted, but I'm not going to read your.
Still muted, Commissioner Sinclair.
How about thumbs up for
aye? Thumbs up for aye.
Aye. There we go.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Vice President Rithaler.
Aye.
Commissioner Cura.
Aye.
Commissioner Felton.
Aye.
Commissioner Wildcat.
Aye.
President Covello, that passes with one opposition.
Very good. Okay, moving on. 10B, Sion Technologies, new online sports wagering vendor.
President Covello, 10B is a new online sports wagering vendor, Sion Technologies. In your packet, beginning on page 127, you'll see the letter prepared by Special Agent Steinberg, staff recommendations for this. Sion Technology applied on June 12th, 2026. They are get down to the right one. They are a vendor, sports wagering vendor. They've completed all their applications. They operate in at least 3 jurisdictions as required by state law. They're filed with the Wyoming Secretary of State's office. They've supplied their financial history and their completed permit application. The one point that I wanted to make out on their permit application on page 120, is it 129? No, I'm sorry. On page 130, it says, has the applicant parent company ever been denied a gaming license permit or withdrawn a license permit or had disciplinary action taken against them? They checked the box yes. And I will give you the reason why they checked the box yes. They actually checked that box yes because of me. And the reason was they had applied for a license with our office about a year ago. And after they had applied, we started reviewing the statutes, and they weren't required. At that time, they didn't offer a service that was required to get a license. They didn't need the license to do what they were doing. So they withdrew their license. They weren't denied. There was no disciplinary action. They withdrew their license. That's why they checked that box. Yes. They do cybersecurity and anti-money laundering now, and that's what requires them to get a permit. After completing the review of their application, we didn't see any red flags this time. I did include in your packets the things that I had forgot to include the first time. So I hope that works, and I would stand for any questions on this application.
Commissioners, do you have any questions with regards to this application for Sion Technologies? Not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Hura. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Schiffer. Any discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to 11A, correct?
President Covello, that is correct. Item 11A is IGT HHR Ainsworth 7 new game themes and associated math models. IGT Exacta 13 new game themes and associated math models. And there's an additional one called Game King Bundle. The information that I'm going to give you is not specific to the 7 Ainsworth or the 13 Exacta themes. Even though we left those off the consent list, depending on how this conversation goes, we'll need to approve those separately. This is specific to the Game King Bundle. So if you look at your packet beginning on page 147, the Game King Bundle on the IGT, or developed by IGT for the Exacta software, has tied video poker to HHR. Historically, this commission has not allowed games that mimic, Keno or poker, things of that nature, because it causes a lot of confusion. So this Game King Bundle alone, all of the themes in this Game King Bundle are poker-related themes. I provided screenshots in your packet so you can see what it looks like. These look identical to any video poker terminal that you look at that is just video poker. Again, so this one was brought to you all because the standard has been set that these are not approved. We talked to this vendor and informed them of that kind of historical information. They asked that it be put to the commission for your consideration. So that's what we are doing. I will tell you that my recommendation on this Game King Bundle would be to deny it, to keep the status quo the same way that we have. I think this opens up some real concerns, at least for me and my office, when we get complaints already that we field all the time and we have to explain to people that it's not a slot machine and it's an HHR machine. Now, if I have to try to explain that it's not video poker and it's HHR, it's going to be even more complex. So I would stand for any questions on this one, but my recommendation would be that the 7 Ainsworth themes are approved, the 13 Exacta themes are approved, but the Game King Bundle is not approved.
Okay, commissioners, we have that from Executive Director. And we did discuss this at length prior to this, basically bringing on what appear to be different types of games. HHR was passed so that it is to basically fund horse racing, and we wanted to keep that theme, the horse racing theme. And so this is outside of that. So wide open for discussion or whatever. Obviously, we can take action as well.
Mr. President, thank you. My recollection was we had a roulette table that we felt was too much like roulette, not like HHR, so we turned it down. I mean, I think it's marvelous that these companies can figure out how to make it look like a, 5-card poker game. But I think we set the precedent. We're going to live by that precedent. If the legislature wants to tell us otherwise, then we can change. But I agree with Mr. Laramendi on this, Nick, and that's my opinion. Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion
Yeah.
to that effect?
I sure would, yeah.
Okay, so your motion would be to approve the 7 Associated Math Ainsworth, the 13 Exacta, and to
Exclude the one.
exclude the Game King bundle.
Yeah, that would be my motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
and we have a second. We have a motion by Commissioner Schiffer and a second by Vice President Ritholler. Do we have any further discussion, commissioners? Discussion? Discussion from the public? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's go right on to item 12.
President Covello, item number 12 is skill-based amusement game rules, Chapter 4, game approvals, qualifiers, limitations, and vendor and operator requirements. As you will recall, the commission began promulgating rules several months ago for Chapter 4 for skill-based amusement games. We gave the notice. They were out for public comment. The 45-day public comment period ended on June 4th of 2026. During that public comment, we received two different public comments. Those are included in summary on page 218 of your packet. The full comments are a couple of pages above that. The first comment stated that we do not believe that section BI of the rule is needed following clarification by the legislature of the liquor establishment definition with the enactment of 2026 Senate Enrolled Act number 39 being original Senate File 46, skill-based amusement games, licensed liquor establishments. The commenter on that also requested that the agency reconsider the new language as they felt that it was no longer necessary. They also contend that giving the director or his designee broad authority over game locations within a permitted licensed liquor establishment exceeds the statutory authority within Wyoming Statute 1125-303. Historically, designation of gameplay areas is mutually agreed upon between the regulator and the permittee. The second comment was by a different skill-based amusement game vendor. They recognize that maintaining the integrity of gameplay is essential to the long-term success and sustainability of the industry in Wyoming. Appropriate placement of skill-based amusement games helps protect vulnerable populations from problematic gaming behaviors while supporting a healthy and responsible gaming environment. As both the regulator and the state's subject matter expert, the Wyoming Gaming Commission is uniquely positioned to evaluate the appropriate placement of skill-based amusement game within a licensed operator's location by balancing economic growth with the preservation of the industry's integrity. Accordingly, they support the Wyoming Gaming Commission retaining the authority to determine the placement of games through this rule change. Those were the two formal comments that were received during the comment period. I know that you were all sent an email a couple of days ago with a potential amendment to this rule. That amendment or that potential amendment was received after the public comment period. You're free to act upon it. You don't have to act upon it. It's entirely up to you. I spoke with President Covello about it. I don't have any issues adding that language to that rule. I don't think that it doesn't change really the meat and potatoes of what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't have any problems with that. And I would stand for any questions on that before we move further.
Okay, we are here to move forward with Chapter 4, skill-based amusement games. Obviously, with one proposed amendment and some comments. Anyone have any thoughts? Want to make any action?
President Covello, so I'm going down to the red line copy so I can just kind of refresh everybody's
Perfect.
memory of
Thank you.
of what changes we made in this. So on page 2, I'm sorry. It's going to be 2. I can find it. I think oh, perfect. I'll hand these out real quick.
Thank you.
Okay, so picking back up on page 229, this is where these changes took place under section 6 designated area. Says, I'll just read the first 3 lines. It's actually I that was the only one that was changed. Pursuant to Wyoming Statute 1125 303D, an operator shall not locate skill-based amusement games in an area of the establishment into which a person under the age of 21 years may enter. An operator shall conspicuously mark each area as an age-restricted area. The operator shall not allow a person under the age of 21 years to play a skill-based amusement game. If the designated area is not statutorily age-restricted, the following requirement shall apply. And then we added I, the very first I, which is the designated area shall be in a place determined by the executive director of the commission or his designee. As we went through this process, originally there was some discussion about if that should fall with the director, or if it needs to come before the commission. As we had talked about that before, the commission kind of decided that that really slows down this process when we have certain time constraints, and that the director and his staff are probably in the best position because I've got people on the ground that can go to these locations and see them and really understand what's going on in there. So this potential amendment to this that I just handed out would be, it would just add at the end of the director of the commission or his designee says in consultation with the licensed operator. Again, I talked to President Cavello about that. I don't have any issues with that. I don't think it changes the substance of what we're trying to do. I can say, while I'm here, that would always happen no matter what. But I understand that they're also looking for the future. So I would stand for any questions.
Commissioners? Thoughts, actions?
Your Honor, I would move to amend section 6 to add the language in consultation with the licensed operator.
We have a motion on the floor to amend chapter 4, section 6, item I, to include in consultation with licensed operator. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Any discussion? Discussion from the public.
Good morning, Commission, President Cavello. My name is Catherine Wilkinson. I'm here with my colleague Jonathan Downing on behalf of Cowboy Skill. Wanted to thank you for considering this amendment. We do think that promoting the collaboration, it would be a little unusual just to have an executive director and his sole authority tell an establishment where to put a machine. We are supportive of the legislation as it passed. We just would like to have this collaboration going forward where there is consultation with the director or whoever may be working to place the machine in appropriate position, that they're not telling a business exactly where they have to put a machine if they have plans for other locations for something. So just adding a little bit of collaboration. The agency still has the end decision of where those games would go, but we think it is important that they do have the discussion with the licensed operator, which is the establishment as defined in the code. Thank you. I'd stand for any questions.
Mr. President, Jonathan Downing, friendly amendment. Things aren't broken right now, but whenever we put anything to rule, it's just thinking in the future as far as if things change. It just encourages that Wyoming collaboration that we currently appreciate with the commission and staff. But in the future, it's just trying to look ahead on that end.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Amendment passes. Now, how about the rules themselves?
President Covello, now we would be looking for a motion to adopt Chapter 4
As amended.
as amended.
Looking for a motion to adopt Chapter 4 as amended, and I have a motion from Commissioner Daniel. Do we hear a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second by Vice President Ritholler. Okay, well, any further discussion? Public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. We are done with item 12. Get to the back page.
President Covello, and just as we move to the disciplinary proceedings, that was the final adoption of Chapter 4 rules. So now I will prepare those and get them off to the governor for his signature. And if you're ready, I can move to 13.
Please do. Thank you very much.
Item number 13A, Brenda Guzman, this is a settlement agreement. If you'll recall, a couple of months ago, we had a kind of a rash of disciplinary proceedings in front of us. Two of those that were set to be heard that day were set aside because we had entered into an agreement. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to review the settlement agreement. But the first one for Trainer Brenda Guzman, docket number 25-0109, ruling number 25-0872. This was the result of a bad test at the racetrack last year. I don't think we have to go through the entire agreement, but I will point your attention to page, I believe it's page 10. Nope, it's page 11 under the order of the commission. So this order is being presented to you. Ms. Guzman was suspended for 30 days and fined $1,000 after receiving a bad test. After looking at the evidence of this one, working with the Attorney General's office in this building, not in Cheyenne, we had offered her an additional $1,000 fine, no more suspension, but it ended up being $2,000 and the 30-day suspension. She had agreed to that. She also has already paid that fine. So really all we're looking for is for you all to approve that additional $1,000 fine. And then this matter would be closed.
Okay, we're looking for some action on item 13A, the additional $1,000 fine with no additional suspension time.
Got settled an agreement for Brenda Guzman.
Have a motion to accept the settling agreement from Brenda Guzman by Commissioner Bowl. Do we have a second from anybody?
I'll second that.
Second from Commissioner Hura. Discussion. Discussion amongst the public. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13B.
President Covello, item 13B is a kind of a similar one. This was also a disciplinary matter that was brought to you all a couple months ago. This one was also set back after we had discussions with the trainer in this matter. The trainer expressed that he wished to settle this without going for a hearing. This specific trainer, you will see on page 5, 20 actually, after winning a race and a drug test was done on the horse standard procedure. The results of that test came back with the class 1 penalty A for methamphetamine. The horse had methamphetamine in its system and also tramadol in its system. At that time, that trainer was suspended for 30 days, which is the max that the stewards can do, and issued a $1,000 fine. And then it was referred to us for further disciplinary sanctions. So in speaking with this trainer in the Attorney General's office, we offered this specific trainer a settlement. The settlement of this, we believe, kind of goes in line with the egregiousness of this kind of violation. I mean, having a horse running on methamphetamine, I find to be a serious, serious problem. The end result of this settlement agreement that he has agreed to is basically a lifetime ban from racing in the state of Wyoming. So the remainder of his license in the state of Wyoming will be suspended, which he has about a year left on that license, and then he will be banned from participating in the state of Wyoming. He will not get a license in the state of Wyoming. If he ever comes back to Wyoming, he won't be granted a license. And again, I would stand for any questions on this one as well.
Any questions for Director Laramendi? Anyone like to take any action here?
Commissioner Schiffer would move that we approve the settlement agreement.
We have a motion from Commissioner Schiffer to approve the settlement agreement for Abel Romero. Do I hear a second? We have a second from Commissioner Bowl. Any discussion? Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now to item 14, executive session. I've shared with you all some information about reclassification of the executive director's position. If you would like to discuss that any further, we can retire to executive session. If not, it will continue to move forward. There's nothing for us to do at this point. But if you'd like to discuss it, we can retire to executive session.
Mr. President, I'd like to have some discussion.
Okay, very good. So I will entertain a motion to retire to executive session pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-4405A.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner
Schiffer.
Schiffer. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Kura. Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
President Cavello,
Motion carries. We will retire to executive session.
if I may, you may want to go across the hall
Yes.
and then I can get Commissioner Wildcat and Commissioner Sinclair on phones and put them in there.
Okay.
So I will call both of you here directly.
Okay, we'll go across the hall so nobody has to leave here. We can come back into this room if y'all want to stay. They're over us anyway. Can't say I blame them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to make the commission and the public aware, there's something going on in horse racing, which I think you're going to hear a lot about it here in the next little while, where HISA, which oversees a lot of the racing, they were gathering veterinary records on all the horses that were at the tracks. An individual has been able to access those records. There's allegations of criminality, of fraud, et cetera, going on, you know, and I don't think anybody knows the facts yet. And I think you're going to hear a lot about the facts. There's plenty of speculation. But the point is that I'd like to make is HISA has a $75 million budget to oversee a great part of the racing industry. I think people are questioning that they did, whether they did that well or not, what happened, those things are going to come out. The point I was really wanting to make here to the commission is that, you know, we need to have the budget, have the personnel, have the legislative backing to be able to do our job the best that we can. We've saddled Nick and his staff with huge responsibilities to see that we have a fair game in the state, that the people are protected, that the interests that should be protected are done so. And, you know, that requires constant vigilance. It requires the personnel and the money from the legislative backing for he and his staff to do that. So as we go forward into the next legislative session, you know, I'd really like to see this commission have specific, and I know some of that has already been done, but, you know, we really need to look around at what we need to do to protect and oversee and take care of this industry. So I just want to, this thing's going to blow up. Believe me, it's going to be huge. And you're going to see a lot about it. But, you know, the point is, it's not just money, it's the framework that you need to oversee this explosion of gaming that we're having going on here. So when you got money, you got gambling, you got people who are going to try to take advantage. And, you know, I brought this up before. It might be the most innocuous licensee who someone can figure out a loophole to get in there and get an advantage. And, you know, it's going to be amazing. But Nick, you're doing a great job, and you know, I think you need the backing to continue to do that job. Thank you.
Dan, or excuse me, Commissioner Schiffer, we appreciate your broad breadth and knowledge within this horse racing industry that far surpasses, I think, what any of the rest of us get or understand. And so thanks for what you bring to the commission and for helping us recognize where we're going and what we're doing. Anyone else? General discussion, public comment, anything from the public? Any commission directives? Director?
President Cavello, I will begin working on the potential rules on the ADW side of it for the November meeting.
And we will be looking at a special meeting coming up to approve personnel for Valley Cheyenne Park.
That is correct. As soon as I get those, I will send out something. We'll just do that via Zoom. It'll take minutes.
Okay, you'll get it all vetted, make sure that it meets. Okay, perfect. Anything from anyone else? Well, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks. Do we have lunch? We still
Thank you,
could have
Mayor.
lunch together.
Or you can eat even though you don't go past noon.
Yeah,
Okay, nice. Okay,
you have to pay though.